listening to Everyday Engineering, the City of Madison's engineering podcast where we talk about infrastructure. Complex topics explained simply, from the water that flows down your drain to the rain and snow that drains into the lakes. By way the curbs and streets we design. City engineering touches your life in so many ways, explained right now in Everyday Engineering. Life's Blueprint, an episode focusing on the career journey of one of our staff members to share more about them, how they got here, and hopefully some information on how to move into a career in this industry. My name is Hannah Molenitsky, City of Madison Engineering Division Public Information Officer. I lead communications for our division, and I also get to know all of our staff, sections, and managers, which is where the idea for this specific Life's Blueprint segment came from. So there are so many paths in our engineering division, and today I'm hosting someone who knows a thing or two about the streets and paths in our city, engineer Andy Zwieg. Thank you so much for stopping by, sitting at the table, and having a good talk this morning.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes. Andy, your official title, engineer in our streets and paths design section of the City of Madison Engineering Division. What does that mean? What do you do exactly? Just kind of lay it out for anyone who's listening.
Okay, so we get assigned a street project by engineering management, and from there I'll start with figuring out what we're doing. Are we taking out all the pavement, all the curb, all the sidewalk? Are we putting in new pipes? Street lighting. We will work with the alders to formulate the scope to set up a public meeting. We will then talk to the Board of Public Works to get approval for the construction, and from there begin the design in the computer. So laying out how wide the street is, where the curb's going to go, where the sanitary sewer, the water main, storm sewer, where all of that's going to go, street lighting, work with many of the other city agencies, forestry, sometimes real estate, get the plans ready for bid, which means we post it on the internet. Street contractors then in the city will bid the project, bid the lowest price, and from there the contract is won, and then I work with the contractor to set the start date, and then once the contractor begins the construction, work with our city construction inspection team and the contractor to get it built the way the plans say it should be built.
So if anyone's listening and they're thinking of doing anything in the realm of engineering and you want to design streets or paths or bike paths or sidewalks or anything along those lines that Andy just laid out, there you go. You answered that first question. We're off to a good start,
All
Andy.
Right.
Yes.
Good.
Andy told me, he says, well, it is my life, so I should know this, right? Yes. And that's where we're going to start here. Is when you describe what you do, Andy, like when you think back to when you first started in your career, did you think it would be that? And where did you start?
I did think I would be kind of where I'm at.
Oh,
so
okay.
Started...
no surprise there.
No, started 30 years ago.
Sure.
When I was, 8, 9. And where this village where I lived, they tore up my street. And all summer, I sat in a lawn chair in the front yard and I watched the excavators, the dump trucks, the rollers, all the pipes, all the concrete, all the gravel, all that installed all summer. That's all I did.
You're like a kid in a candy store.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And from there, really was interested in construction sites when we drove around, when I walked around or biked around the town. And from there led me to a few classes in high school related to drafting, which is formulating what we used to call blueprints, getting the construction on paper. That led to college and my major. So
pause for a second there. Where did you grow up, if you don't mind me asking? This village, this town?
I grew up in a suburb of Milwaukee, Heartland.
Okay. So here's little Andy sitting in his front lawn watching all these big toys. And that's where it really started. It's pretty amazing.
Yep.
And pretty relatable.
Absolutely.
A lot of kids. I mean, I have a son of my own, and he sure does love the excavators, and he loves the trucks and the dump trucks, but it can be something as simple as that.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so little Andy decides, not little Andy now, little Andy then decides he wants to go into this. You go into drafting, you're in high school, then where do you go from there? You said college?
Yep, so I got a degree, a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Okay.
That's an hour southwest of here.
Okay.
With an emphasis specific in transportation engineering, roads, highways, streets.
And you wanted to do that?
Yes.
Gosh, because there's so many different ways
There's
you can go.
Structures, that's buildings.
Right.
There's stormwater or rainwater, the pipes and the ponds. There's traffic, which is traffic signals and traffic lights and electrical street lights. And then there's many other engineerings, mechanical, industrial, and so on.
Okay.
But I picked civil engineering and transportation.
And that's just because you liked the way that, I don't know, like, can you wrap your mind, if somebody's listening to this and they're like, I don't know which way to go. I know I want to be an engineer. I know I want to be in part of the construction industry, but I don't know which way to go. How did you decide on transportation?
I look at our road, they're all around us. Yeah. They're all around us. Everyone uses them. And I enjoy doing the design on paper, going out to the field during construction of my project, and being a part of it. From when I was a kid, I sat and watched. Now I can go and I can talk to the operators of the excavators. I can talk to the field staff. I can help solve the problems that come out in the field. And then when it's done, go and drive or bike and walk on this beautiful new street that has made our city a lot better in this particular neighborhood. So it kind of comes full circle. I visited the sites when I was a kid. I do it now, but now I'm involved, and now it's it's like a work of art. I look at a street as a kind of like a brand new work of art. It looks fantastic, and now I can take my kids to the construction site, and we don't necessarily we watch, but I can kind of get a little closer, and I know what's going on, and they can ask me questions and I can answer them.
Oh, so cool. Really, I can tell, and if you're listening to this, you can probably tell how much Andy loves what he does. From college, so the City of Madison Engineering Division wasn't your first job right out of college, correct?
That's correct. It was not.
So walk us through, what came next?
So I worked for a private construction firm or engineering firm that worked with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation on large interstate highway projects, interchanges. So that's what I did for 10 years. We also did
easy.
No, those are big, many-year projects across multiple cities or villages or counties. I also did what I do now, smaller streets, but a lot longer, maybe a mile of city street when I was at this consultant, with many intersections, very, very similar. And again, going back to when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a city engineer because of what I saw in my own city growing up. And this opportunity came up 6 years ago, and I interviewed with the engineering team and got the job, and kind of started to fit right in with the experience I brought, and dove right into it and got assigned projects, and that's where I am now. So
one job out of college, and then you were there for how long?
I was there for 12 years.
Okay, so that's a huge chunk. And, from your time there, do you have anything that sticks out to you from, you said big projects, but maybe something that local people may know, anything that you've touched?
Yeah, so that job was in the Milwaukee area. So I was but we worked on the Johnson's Creek, Watertown large bypass that was installed around all those cities. Those were put in farm fields that didn't have roads in them before. So that was partnered with the DOT and working with those farmers. And so that was a really big one that I enjoy driving on to this day.
Kind of cool. You drive to, and and you get to say that you had a hand in that, a major hand in that.
And then before there was a few years right out of college at that job where I did land development retail stores. So Cabela's was a big one. I helped design 6 Cabela's around the entire country and got to go to 4 of them, which was really neat to see the parking lots and again, very similar, except they're not streets, they're just parking lots.
Sure.
Yeah.
But someone's got to design them. Someone has to put it all together, make sure it's safe, make sure it's following the rules and the ordinances and all the specs and all the things that go into it.
Yep.
Interesting. Very interesting. I guess, was there any part in it? I mean, it sounds very flowery and wonderful and great, like that you've enjoyed it the fullest, but going to school for engineering is not easy. It's quite difficult. And were there any times where you were kind of like, I don't know if I should do this, or maybe I can, maybe I can't, maybe you don't, even though I know you love your job and maybe you've enjoyed grinding through that. But do you remember any moments where it was like, this is hard, I don't know if I really want this? Because I think if anyone's listening to this, they're probably thinking, do I want to be an engineer? Do I want to be a transportation design engineer? Maybe I don't know. So maybe I don't know. If you had any moments like that?
Yeah. So when you start college, the first 2 years, you're taking all the general classes. I took, 4 calculus classes. I took, chemistry, advanced chemistry, physics, advanced physics. You need to get through those classes to get to the engineering, to get to where you're learning highway engineering, structural engineering, rainwater engineering. And those classes are hard.
Yeah.
And what I did in college is seek out tutors, group study sessions to get through those tough time, long classes. So I had to seek out additional resources. I couldn't get through those classes just studying on my own.
And you do hear some people, I can just show up and take the test and it's great. I'm thinking, I do not operate like that. I have to do the studying. I have to put in the time. It does not come naturally for me. Was it natural for you? But it sounds like, I don't know, maybe.
No, it was not. Those tests are extremely difficult. I've spent a lot of time on them.
Yeah. Thanks, Andy, making me feel a little better too. And anybody who's listening to this, because it is. It's one of those things that you do have to put in the time. And I like what you say. You just got to get through them, and then you can get to the good stuff that you really, really enjoy. Okay, we talked about where you started, where you went through high school, college, first job, and then now at the city. So, what have you worked on here at the city that maybe you're proud of, or that people may know of? Or that were big or difficult?
I have all those. So I started with some smaller projects in the Sunset Village neighborhood. That's off of Mineral Point Road, just west of downtown. So Sunset Court, Westmoreland Boulevard, Hammersley Road, Hillcrest Drive, all individual projects over the last 4 or 5 years. I had helped with the Big Buckeye Road reconstruction.
Oh, yes.
That's just east of Lake Monona. The East Johnson Street reconstruction through near Winger Creek and First Street. I have some big projects coming up. Pleasant View Road on the west side, Atwood Avenue along Albrecht Gardens is one that's going to be coming up in the next few years.
Yeah.
I have a big Cedar Street project right now that's off of Park Street and Fish Hatchery Road. That's a multi-year project with many things going on. I'm involved with our private engineering department, which works with the developers that are developing apartments or businesses in the city and improving those roads. I work on a lot of projects where we install new roads in the city. There is space for new roads. And I work on all those projects.
It's interesting because every time, so for anyone listening, I do communication, so I work with all of our staff on all of their projects, especially the ones that are really public. And streets design is quite public, obviously, for obvious reasons. I always go to Andy. I say, "Gosh, Andy, you've got Buckeye, you've got East Johnson,
Cedar Street.
I mean, some of these are really difficult. I mean, and not for. It's hard to design in some of these areas that are very well traveled, or they have a history of, whatever elements that they have that have been challenging the project. It can be funding, it can be some of the landscape, it can be anything on that road or space that makes it challenging. But you always get the toughies. I feel like you do get the tough ones. But you must be really handling it.
I've learned how to manage them and how to work with the team of engineers that are assigned to my project and the management team and the Alder.
Are they tough for you?
They're not as tough as they used to be.
Okay.
I kind of have a format in my head of how to start them, how to proceed, and keep the project moving to make the deadline.
Oh, he's just so calm about it. Can you tell? This is good. This is good.
The city has brought me a real passion for what I do now. Because I can see it. I can go there and see it. When you work for bigger firms and around projects around the country, you don't get to go see them. But I get to see them now, and that's really fired up my passion for civil engineering.
That's good. It's good. It should make anyone listening to this feel quite good, knowing that they have someone like you putting all of these projects together, because they are things that we use every single day. You didn't do this journey alone. Who supported you along the way? Or maybe it was just Andy. I
had good family support.
Sure.
We'd take a side drive to go visit the construction sites when I was a kid. I had good professors at Platteville, smaller school, get to know your professors.
Anyone stick out?
There's a few at Platteville. They're retired now.
Well, then they have plenty of time to listen to a podcast episode.
They do. And then...
So nobody in particular that gave you any good advice or anything like that?
The best advice I received was you gotta adapt. So you design your plans on paper. You just spent maybe a year on it. You know everything about the plans. And you get out to construction and they find something under the ground that you didn't know about, or there's something that goes wrong. They can't get the materials that you need. So you got to adapt. You got to go out and you got to change your plans. And sometimes in the past, I was like, well, I don't want to change my plans. I just spent a year on this. But I've learned you got to adapt. You got to adapt, change your plans, adapt to field conditions. So someone told me that at my old job, and that's kind of stuck with me.
That's pretty cool. I think that's a good piece of advice. It's hard. You put in all, I think you just, you hit that on the head. You put in all that time. And then I gotta change it.
Yeah, it's hard.
That's a good life skill to have in general, not just for engineers.
Just do it and be done with it and move on.
Yep. Okay, we're wrapping up. We only have a couple more minutes, Andy. Anything else you want to add that maybe someone's thinking of this position? Maybe they're experienced. Maybe they're earlier on in their journey and they're not sure. Anything else you want to share? Any advice for anyone as they put together their life plan?
My advice would be kind of what I did is, whether you're looking to get into it or you're in it, look at the infrastructure around you. Do you have ideas that you can improve it? Go visit a construction site of any kind, from a building to a street to a stormwater pond. If you're looking to move around in the industry at all, find someone that you can talk to about it. I had many, or my family had friends that I would talk to when I was a kid, and they would tell me what they did, and that was helpful in my journey. So that would be my advice. Seek out someone or go visit to figure out if you want to pivot or what you want to go into. Civil engineering has many options for someone, and something for everybody.
Anything you do different?
No, I like the college I went to. I really love this career.
Sure.
The city it's not a job. It's a career, and it's my passion. And I need to continue to improve and get better, both in design and when I'm in the field talking to the field staff. I just need to continue to get better.
Wow, and that is where we will end. Kind of fun. Usually when we work together, it's Andy telling me what's the latest on his project. Welcome to my world, Andy.
This is a lot of fun.
This is great.
I enjoy it.
Well, awesome. And thank you so much for sharing. Hopefully it is helpful to anyone listening, whether it's family, friends, other city staff, college students, high school students, little kids watching construction in their front lawn like Andy was. All of this is just part of life's blueprint, and whether it's in pencil or ink or printed or whatever, like Andy said, always be willing to change it up if you need to. Thank you so much, Andy. We will continue to feature more coworkers and more episodes on Everyday Engineering. We're going to continue to answer that question, how did they get that job? It's simple. Just check out their life blueprint so far. That's it for us. Thanks for listening, and we are always here for you every day in engineering.